Hey, everybody. I think we are live. it is it is May the 19th, and this is the Flipping America RIA. So thank you so much for joining us. And I have been digging and researching. The last couple of shows, we had a little problem. It looked like we started out great, and then we lost our live stream. And um, I researched and I checked it out. I contacted technical support. I did all these things, and I followed all these steps, and then I realized in order to go live, there's two buttons you have to hit, and for some reason, in the last two shows, I only hit one of them, and so that's the problem. It's what we call an ID10T problem, and if you want to know what an ID10T problem is, just write down ID10T. Look at it long enough, and you'll figure out. That's the problem. All right. So we're glad you're here. Thank you for joining us. I've got Mark is in the green room. Chip's in the green room. We're ready to go and rock and roll a little bit, talk about real estate. And man, is it going crazy. Let you in on a little secret. I bought 5 houses last week, and I've already bought 3 this week. And whoa, it's awesome. Hey, great to see you, Karen. Glad you're here. Okay. What are we doing here? Hey, Tim. Glad you're here. All right. It's time for the pledge. And here's your pledge pep talk, everybody. The pledge, of course, we would pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And of course, we would do that here. This is Flipping America. But we take time every show to pledge to ourselves that we're going to take responsibility for our own lives. And so by now, those of you that are regular, you should have this memorized. But some of you, there's always somebody here for the first time. And so here is the pledge that we make to ourselves. When I look in the mirror, I see the reason, the credit for my successes, the blame for my failures. I cannot make it without my team, and I tell them often. But when they succeed, it's because I chose well and I led well. When they fail, it's because I did not choose or lead well. I am the reason. I may have setbacks, but I cannot fail if I don't ever give up. You got circumstances. I got circumstances. We all got circumstances, but you won't find me under mine. My situation will not dictate my emotion. My circumstances will not control my results. External forces will not take away my power to choose. I cannot change the world, but I can change me and the way I relate to it. So I charge on. I am the reason. I have a massive vision, which creates massive pressure, leading to massive action, which is the only chance I have to achieve massive results. The world doesn't owe me success. God doesn't owe me success. No one is going to work for my success. Therefore, no one will work harder for their success than I will for mine. I will give my all and then a bit more. So tomorrow, my all will be more. All right, we're here, and it's time for the announcements. So today we are talking about Bank on Yourself. Mark Willis is here, and I have I guess a limited or a lay understanding of this. I have questions about this, but when I hear this presentation, and Mark and I have talked about this before, my gears start turning, and I start thinking about all of the possibilities. Because apparently you can buy a whole life insurance policy and then you can borrow against it to do your real estate deals. I may be oversimplifying that. Mark's going to be here in a minute to explain and help me understand it, help you understand it too. So we're going to do that in just a minute. And then, I think there's tomorrow night. Is this tomorrow night? I'm confused now on dates. We should have dates on these things. Tomorrow night. Yeah, we're talking about real estate investment trusts. That's tomorrow night. And looks like I'm going to be your humble explainer. And then next Wednesday, I put the slides out of order. My bad. Next Wednesday, Seth Williams is going to be here to talk, and he is the RE Tipster guy. He's got a great website. He's a cool guy. He has a lot of information about real estate and real estate investing, and he's a terrific resource. And I want you to know him. I want you to know about him. All right. This is the Flipping America Real Estate Investors Association, the FARREA. It's local networking with a national impact and are a national networking group with local focus. We are now 32 chapters and just over 10,500 members in our meetup groups around the country. And so that's fun to be a part of. And I hope that you will go beyond the free membership, which you can do with Meetup, and join us. And there's the link, bit.ly/FARREA join. You can join for as little as $10 a month, but if you pay the $99 annual fee in all one lump sum, you get discounts on all of our courses and a lot of other features and benefits. Say hi in the comments. Also, ask your questions. If you have a question for Mark as we're going along, be sure that you put it in the comments. I'll see it, and I can put it up on screen, and Mark and I can eventually deal with it. All right? This is Bank on Yourself, and we are ready to go. Mark, are you ready to go? All right.
I'm ready. Can you hear me?
There you go. Your microphone's on now. Good to see you, my man.
Yeah, great to see you too.
Yeah, you got the cool headphones on. You look like you should be an ESPN sport anchor or something.
That's right.
Sports Center anchor.
Touchdown. Right on.
All right. All right. So I gave a little bit of a heads up on my understanding of this whole thing, where really it seems like you can buy a life insurance policy and then you can borrow against the value of that policy and fund your deals. How close am I to being right on that?
You're rocking and rolling. I think you got this.
Okay.
If nothing else, I think we could end it right there.
Okay.
Why in the world would we use life insurance? That may be a lingering question some folks have.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to let you do the presentation in a minute, but see, one of the things that I think is, all right, I'm old. All right. It hardly makes sense for a 62-year-old. I'm 62 years old, by the way. I know y'all can't believe it. I know I don't look it. Thank you so much. But it hardly makes sense for me to buy a whole life insurance policy for the death benefit at this point, because it's prohibitively expensive. However, if I have $1 million worth of coverage, then there's something else I can do. And Mark, is that a good lead in to you?
That's great. Yeah.
All right. Take the screen, brother.
All right. I'll give it a shot. Here we go. Give it a try. How we doing? You seeing my side there?
Yeah. Now I need to assign this. Wow. Let's see. I hit a button there. Nope. Maybe I can do that. Nope. I got to assign it to a guest. All right. And then there you go.
Is it popping up? There we go. All right. Cool. Love it. How to write a contract with your future. I'm going to get into this and we'll go about 10, 15 minutes. I'm going to try to go pretty fast here. So if folks are in a hurry, just jot this site down and we can answer questions. There's no doubt there's going to be more questions than answers after 15 minutes. It's sort of like Socrates. The questions hopefully lead to bigger, better questions. That's kind of the way I view it. So I'll let you guys read through this, take a screenshot if you really want to read all the legal documents here, but I'm not an attorney or investment advisor. I am a certified financial planner, and that's sort of what I guess I'd like to start with. I'm looking at this from a comprehensive standpoint. Guys, real estate is an important part of our portfolios, but we're going to get into why, and we're going to get into how do you make your purchases and where do you store your cash in between your deals. I think a lot of folks are starting to see the price of real estate go up. So the question then becomes, how do we make those purchases? How do we make the buy? Because oftentimes, as Roger and many others have said and heard, it's you make your profit when you make your purchase. So guys, I'd say first things first, you're in the right place with Roger and the team. If you hang around people who remind you of your future, not your past, you're on for better things. And man, that pledge was inspiring. Roger, well done putting that together.
Thanks.
And I'd say, the key piece that I wanted to start with here is that there are two laws to the financial universe, just like there's two laws to the physical universe, gravity and the law of gravity and the law of entropy. I'd say that our relationships also feel these two laws, gravity and entropy. Gravity, of course, is what pulls us down. Entropy, of course, is what tears us apart. And we see this on the news, right? Ethnic groups, race, haves and have-nots, political divisions, gender. So much. We don't even need to talk about the Mother Nature seems to be even hell-bent on destroying us with viruses, climate catastrophes, just the fundamental nature of our aging bodies. You said you were 29, Roger? 29
Something
years
like
old?
that. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, and our relationships, all of this stuff takes work. Our business, our real estate practice, all of it. If we just left it alone, I'm going to tell folks that there's no such thing as passive income, because there's no such thing as passive anything. There's no such thing as passive health, no such thing as a passive relationship or friendship. If I just let things sit on their own, the law of entropy and the law of gravity tear it apart. Make sense? So, I'd say that there's a number of financial risks. This is sort of the elements of gravity and entropy, right? You can see the screen. Taxes, long-term care, market risk, living too long, for goodness sakes. If we just live too long, inflation and taxes and, fraud, it all exposes us to more and more risk the longer you stinking live, which is crazy to imagine. But it's unbelievable. And anything here, Roger, that strikes you as you look at this list of risks
I
that
was
we're
just
all
thinking
exposed
about
to?
risk, and life itself is risk. Every day that you
Yeah.
live, you risk dying. And so my mind was just going to all the fear that I see about coronavirus. And
Right. Yeah.
but that's off subject. So you asked me what
Well,
was
there
in
you
my
go.
brain, and there's my weird brain.
Well, there you go. I mean, if our retirement is so fragile that a sneeze could wreck your financial future, that's a fairly fragile plan, right? And my heart is with anybody who's been financially or medically impacted by the coronavirus, but that just goes to show. And now tweets from Elon Musk are wrecking cryptocurrency. I mean, when a tweet or a sneeze is the most fundamental part of your financial life, you got problems. You got big problems. So, I'd say to sum up what I've shared so far, Niels Bohr has a quote. He says, "Prediction is very difficult, especially if it's about the future." So I would say, though, with all this bad news, I want to get to some good news fairly quickly here. Humanity's unique gift. I would say we have been given a gift. As a man of faith, I believe that very strongly. And if I was to clarify the gift from one perspective, there's probably lots of gifts we've been given, I believe. But one remarkable, unique gift is for all of us to envision a better and bigger future. I mean, to me, that's the big takeaway I took from your pledge, Roger,
Yeah.
was to envision a bigger and better future. But how do we do it? I believe that we enshrine our vision of our future with a contract. Contracts. In fact, I would say that civilization itself is built on the contract. Can you imagine a contract, a world without contracts? I was just sitting down and chatting with someone over Zoom last week, Roger. He had a very good real estate portfolio. He had 10 properties completely paid off, no mortgage, for good or ill. That was just the way he decided to do it. And he was getting rent on those properties. And in fact, he was going to make about $200,000 this year after expenses off these 10 properties. Not too bad. And he was clear on his opinion. He was actually working on tile and grout while we were talking. He said that real estate was the only thing in his portfolio, did not have any stocks, bonds, anything else. And we started talking just playfully. And I said, well, hey, what do you really have? Do you actually, you can feel the bricks, you can feel the tile and grout, the carpet underneath your feet. But what is it that provides you the value in those properties? Isn't it nothing more than a contract? Without the contract, the deed, the title, whatever, without the paper saying you own those properties and without a lease agreement from your renters, all you have are squatters' rights, shotgun rights. And after thinking about it a moment, he agreed. His real estate empire was not built with bricks and stone, wood and nails, but paper. Without the contract, all we have is squatters' rights. And I'll quickly mention I was walking through the museum here in Chicago, the Ancient Oriental Institute, and alongside all these mummies and ancient cuneiform tablets from Hezekiah's day and really cool stuff. It's actually the largest collection of biblical archaeology in the Western Hemisphere, which is just kind of cool. One of the items on the wall, though, was this annuity contract from 365 BC. So annuities, good or bad, I'm not here to talk about annuities much today, but I really thought it was pretty awesome that this guy had a contract with his future. He had a contract where he was going to be paid, him and his family were going to get a check in the mail, whatever mail looked like back then, 365 BC. He was going to be paid for the rest of his life, guaranteed. That's awesome. So what if we could all sit down today, grab a pen and paper, and literally write a contract with our future? So that's a powerful concept, to write a contract with your future. It can begin with as simple as making a list of commitments to your future self. I want to be in the best shape of my life. I'm, in a meaningful relationship. I have $10 million or $100 million net worth, whatever your numbers, right? Until it's on paper, it's vapor. As Sir John Hartgrove says, until it's on paper, it's vapor. So I'd say that is a concept and a mindset. But guys, I also want to get into some financial systems that you can incorporate a contract with your financial future. I'd say too many financial vehicles out there are not contracts. They're simply paper wealth going up and down with the stock market or real estate markets. There's not a lot that says, hey, on a predictable and even guaranteed basis, you will have X dollars by the time you're 65 or 75 or whatever age. What if you had something like that in your portfolio? What if you could say with absolute confidence and certainty that over the next 10 years or 50 years or whatever your time horizon, you would be able to break out of where you are today and grow to a bigger, better future? You could avoid taxes, fees, market volatility. I'd say, if we were going to have a financial vehicle that functioned like a contract with our future, we'd need something where we could place the money. What characteristics of a financial vehicle would we want our money to have? To have a financial contract with our future, we need a few things. It needs to be a simple solution. I don't need a contract with my future that looks like the iTunes terms and agreements checkbox that I have to sign anytime I get a new service. It needs to be simple where I could understand it. That'd be the first thing I'd want my contract to be. A second piece is I'd need a predictable contract where I could store and use wealth and have easy access to it for any reason. So, what good is a financial contract with my future if I can't use the money and I have no idea what the outcome will be? That's not much of a contract, right? And finally, I'd need a system or a financial vehicle where the outcome would be determined before I even began. So that to me was some of the characteristics I'd need my financial product or vehicle to have in order for me to consider it a true contract. Any feedback on that so far, Roger? Just off the cuff?
Nope. It's a good setup. I like it.
Cool. All right. So, we know maybe some folks might have heard of something called a futures contract. A futures contract is essentially the farmer buying a contract for a small fee in case the price of wheat goes up in the future or goes down in the future. When I'm planting wheat as a farmer today, I don't know what the future price will be when it's time to sell my wheat. So one thing I can do is lock in the price of wheat at whatever rate I choose, and have a future contract to pay a small fee now in order to buy something at a guaranteed future price later. That way I don't have to worry about the fluctuations of wheat or anything else. That's how futures contracts work. And, I'm going to kind of skip over this, but I want to quickly, just for folks that really, really, really want to learn, Take a screenshot of this. This is about 12 different financial characteristics of typical, common, I call them oh-so average financial products: cash, checking, savings bonds, places we could save money before we buy our real estate. Okay. So these are all different characteristics: taxes, government involvement, liquidity, rates of return. All these are important, but none of them should be the exclusive characteristic. We need a mix. Okay. So this is part one. Here's part two. I'm going to switch the screen now. All right. So here's part two. And for all of these, there's pluses and minuses, and there's reasons to put your money in all of these that I'm showing you here. However, one of the surprising financial vehicles that I've stumbled across in my work and study as a certified financial planner is dividend paying, or sometimes they call it participating, whole life insurance, which meets every single one of the characteristics on the side there. And importantly, it can be used as a contract with your future. So here's what I mean. Bank on yourself. We call this dividend paying whole life insurance. We call it bank on yourself designed whole life insurance. It's essentially grown and increased in value every year during every market crash, during good times and bad times, for over 200 years. Whole life insurance. Yes, I'm literally talking about whole life insurance, but this is not the kind of life insurance that Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman, or any of their buddies on TV or radio love to hate on. This is completely and categorically different from the ones most financial experts know about. In principle, and very quickly here, it is a contract with your future. You put money into the policy and it grows guaranteed for the rest of your life. It, of course, can protect you against inflation as the interest rates begin to rise in this economy. If we do see inflation, the policy's cash will increase even faster than that guarantee. And of course, it is life insurance, so you'll leave a more valuable future for your family if you pass away too soon. I should mention that unlike term insurance, this whole life insurance policy gives you liquid access to the cash for any reason. So you could use that to buy a new car, go on vacation, or I like to use it to buy passive income, properties, real estate, syndications, anything that can get me toward my overall goal of financial freedom. Cash value is accessible for any reason. You can also access it with no taxes due, and you can use it either for your business or your personal needs. Unlike a self-directed IRA, you can use this for your kitchen, as well as you can fix up the kitchen of your rental properties.
You're buying this with post-tax dollars, right?
Most of the time, 95% of the time, post-tax dollars. Okay. There are some situations where you can put in pre-tax, but yeah, good question. And one more piece to the puzzle, then I'll show a few numbers and then we'll wrap up. So you can use this to become your own banker, to become your own source of financing. So when you use the policy cash, you can either withdraw the money like a regular bank account, or you can use it as collateral to get a bank loan. Not a bank as the bank you know and understand, but a bank on yourself life insurance policy loan. Okay, so you are the banker, and you can borrow against the cash value, and the policy will continue to grow uninterrupted even when you use it to make a purchase. So this builds some optionality into your future. Now that's a mind-bending statement. So I'll say it a slightly different way and just check in with you, Roger, if you have any questions or feedback here. But if I've got $100,000 and I want to buy a real estate deal for that amount, and I take a policy loan and buy a real estate property, fixer upper or whatever, for $100,000, my policy that year will still continue to grow as if I hadn't touched a dime of the money on all $100,000. And I've got my real estate, hopefully flipping that or renting that or whatever my real estate was going to do anyway.
Okay, so let me throw this question in here from Tim Jensen. Isn't there an interest rate you owe to the life insurance company to borrow against it?
Yeah, great question. In fact, if we have a minute, I can kind of go into that if you'd like. Typically, the interest rates on insurance company policy loans are well below market rates. Let's say, for example, over 4 years, you'd pay about 2% annual percentage rate, APR. So 2%. Now, nobody likes to pay interest. Not me, not anybody that I know. However, who owns the insurance company? Well, if it's designed the bank on yourself way, then you do. I do. We all do. It's more like a co-op. Okay. So the interest that I paid, let's say I borrowed out that 100 grand and I paid back $2,000 for 4 years. Okay. Over that same 4-year period, my policy might be doing somewhere between 4 and 6% earnings every year for 4 years. So what's 5% compound growth of 100 grand over 4 years? Well, let me think
I
about that.
can't do that
That's
in my
about
head.
24 grand.
Yeah.
That's about 24 grand
Yeah,
over
that
4
sounds about right.
years.
Yep.
So I paid 2 grand. Okay. 2 grand per year over 4 years. That's $8,000 total interest, 8 grand total interest. And I earned 24 grand. So who came out ahead there? Well, the policy, even if you factor in the interest rate, you still had whatever that would be, $16,000 of arbitrage. That's a powerful way to buy stuff. Not just real estate, but really any major purchase. I would much rather pay a little interest to an insurance company that I own as long as I get uninterrupted compound growth. It's one of the more powerful ways to make major purchases. Great question. So
All right.
in fact, I'll show it here, but I see our time is running short, so I'll keep it brief.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's up to you. Your time's is the question here, but go ahead. How many more slides do you have?
Oh, this might be it. I can wrap up after this.
Okay.
Yep.
Because
So for the engineers wanting to watch.
I was going to I was going to run a specific scenario with you, but maybe I'll do that later. Go.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Cool. So here's a guy, 35-year-old. You could be 65. You could be 75. You could be 25. I'm just picking these ages at random. There's no age limit. I think you can start policies up to age 85 years old. And again, if we're strictly designing this for massive cash accumulation, the death benefit, as you mentioned, Roger, doesn't matter as much. It's certainly there, but the best part of this is the cash value growth. And so you can see this guy's got $40,000 after year 3. As we go down the page, at age 70, I just want you to keep that number in your mind: $1.2 million. Okay, after he's funded the policy. Okay, so he's put in 18 grand for 35 years. So I don't know what that would be. That'd be about 600 grand, I guess, that he put into the policy. And yet his cash value is double that, $1.2 million. And he takes out $60,000 a year tax-free throughout the rest of his life. Up until age 95, he's taken 60 grand a year, totally tax-free. But this is a guy who never touched his money. He never borrowed. He never banked on himself. What if instead he borrowed from the policy to put some down payments on like real estate deals? So in this guy's case, he takes a loan every 5 years for $35,000 to buy some real estate. And he does that 6 times. He buys 6 properties, pays the policy loan off. And after it's all said and done, well, wouldn't you know, he still has exactly $1.2 million, as if he had not touched the money at all. And he still gets to enjoy that 60 grand a year from the policy. But Roger, the power here is he also, by doing this, he now has 6 real estate properties that he's also got in his portfolio as well. If he had just paid cash for that real estate, all he'd have is the real estate. At least here, instead of just one asset, the real estate, he has 2, the real estate property and the life insurance. So that's, I guess the bottom line is you can use this tool as a way to make your purchases and build some predictable contract for your financial future. Isn't what we're all looking for? Some sort of financial project that helps us meet and achieve our financial goals. When I've got a plan, a financial vehicle that I know I'm going to have, this guy's case, $1.2 million in it when I go to retire, I can start to build a plan around that. So that's the end of my slideshow. If you guys want to get to the, there you go. That's the best part of the show right there.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to chat with me further, it's bit.ly/Boy Future, BOY Future.
I was going to ask you where you got that name, Boy Future.
Yeah. Bank on yourself, future. Who knows?
Oh, bank on yourself. Oh, I get it. I was thinking, what about girl future?
Yeah. I'll work on an acronym for that.
All right. All right. So everybody, this is Mark Willis and bit.ly/Boy Future. and we will put that out there again. I'll probably put it into the comments as we go along. But what I wanted to run through with you, Mark, was a scenario on buying a car. Because if you have cash to pay for the car, you can buy a life insurance policy, and in a little bit of time, you can borrow most of that money back and use it to buy a car and pay yourself back, and then have the car and the policy also, something like that. But I'll talk to you about that.
Yeah.
See, it just
Well, hey.
stirs up my thinking, as I get into all these different ideas and scenarios. Okay, I hear your timer going off.
Yeah.
You got to go.
Oh, yeah, that's all
And
good.
so everybody, this is Mark Willis, and hang in there, because now we're going to be joined by Chip Cagle. And Mark, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
It's all cheers to thinking different, and continue the great work you're doing, and help us remember that we are the reason, Roger. So thank you for your work.
All right. Talk to you later. Okay. Well, let me see. I guess I need to assign Chip. Chip, are you there? I don't know if Chip is still with us. Hey, look at that. I got you. Hey, man.
Hey, Roger.
All right. I'm not sure exactly.
That was a good presentation. I like that.
Yeah. And he had really good, really nice looking slides too, right?
Interesting topic. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Are you familiar with that idea? Have you seen that idea before?
I've heard about it, but I hadn't really delved into it.
All right. Well, I keep thinking it's on my list of one of those things I'm going to do one of these days. I've got a few things going on here, but I do need to make that a priority, I guess. Something. All right.
One of the many, right?
Yeah. Say thanks, Bay Mountain Capital. I want to say thank you, Bay Mountain Capital, for your support. And you're a big reason the Flipping America RIA has been such a huge success. And thousands of people have been exposed to Flipping America because of our partnership. So thank you for that. And tell us a little bit about Bay Mountain and what you got going today.
All right. So Bay Mountain Capital, for those of you who don't know, is a hard money lender out of Dallas, Texas. I'm based in Atlanta. I'm over the Southeast region. I won't bore you with all the details. I already put it in the chat. So if you're reading the chat, you'll see all the interest rates and percentages and LTVs and LTCs and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I'm going to talk about a deal that we are in the process of funding right now. So this one's a little bit unique in that the borrower came to us and she had done a new construction, and she either ran out of money or decided she needed to pay off the current loan that she has. I'm not really sure which. But regardless, it's a little more difficult when we're trying to refinance a project that's partway through. In this case, it was probably more like 80, 90% complete. But so we had to get her to get lien waivers from any contractors that she had work on the property, because we don't want, after we close, for some contractor to come along and say, hey, you owe me $10,000. And that wasn't in our rehab budget. And then what are we going to do? So lien waivers, all contractors, and it makes it a whole lot easier if, say, you're buying it from an investor that was that had started on the project and for whatever reason decided to bail out and sold it to you. That way we don't have to have those lien waivers I'm talking about. All right, now let's get down to the deal. So she paid, well, to pay off on her loan is $187,000. She needs an additional $25,145 for the rehab that she still needs to complete. So that's a total of $212,145. We were able to loan 100% of that amount, and that comes to 68% of the value. It appraised for $312,000, so 68% of that. So that was good. It's in East Point, which those of you who are here in Atlanta know is down near the airport. So great location. It's near Tyler Perry Studios. It's near Porsche and Delta. not too far from downtown in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So a great place, and it's a nice place, little farmhouse that they were building, new construction. Went to see it over the weekend. Really liked it.
All right. So there I am. I figured out how to put myself back in here. All right. So I have a question about this, and this is something I've wondered about for a while with Bay Mountain's policies, and since we have a couple minutes here. So you're funding 100% of the purchase and the rehab, but the borrower still has to bring money to the closing, and that's for the points?
Absolutely.
And
points, fees, closing costs, some tax escrow, and interest for the remainder of the current month. Your first payment wouldn't be until the month after that one. So let's say you were closing today, you pay interest through the end of May, and then your first payment would be July 1st.
Right. Well, that's standard with a mortgage, but so they don't have to bring 10% down.
No, in this case, 0. Sometimes you do. Now, if you're a brand new investor, you'd have to bring 15% down. If so far you've only done 1 or 2 investments, completed investments, then we would lend you 90%, so 10% down.
Okay. When I was in the hard money lending business for a minute, if we were going to fund 100% of the deal, we still made them bring 10% of the purchase price to the closing, and we would kind of get that back to them during the rehab process. So they were made whole, but we wanted to see them have that skin in the game. But, I like the way you guys do it. It's actually easier for the borrower that way.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
so
that's up to 70% of the ARV. It's not 100% all the time. And then there's a few other times when it wouldn't be 100%.
So I need to know when you're going to be in Alabama, sir. I know we're in we've got flipping Huntsville and flipping Birmingham. Hey, everybody in Huntsville and Birmingham.
Yeah, I'm in the process of finding appraisers and home inspectors in both those cities.
All right.
And if anybody's got some recommendations, please send them to me with the contact information, because recommendations are great, but we need those before we can actually move in there.
Yeah, but I got to.
We did move into Memphis and Tri-Cities and Tennessee and Nashville.
Yeah, and I got a text from the wholesale team just a little while ago. It says, "Hey, we got a deal accepted in Nashville," and I said, "All right, that's cool." Then I looked a little closer. It was Nashville, Georgia.
I didn't even know there was one.
Oh yeah, it's way down yonder by the pawpaw patch. But it's you go to Tifton and hang a left, and then when you get basically close to the Okefenokee Swamp, you're in Nashville, Georgia. But anyway, I got a deal cooking in Dothan, Alabama, and I would love it if you guys were lending there, but you're not. So. All right.
Well, probably not even when we are in Alabama, because we're going to be in Birmingham and Huntsville, and Dothan's not close to either of those.
Right. It's not.
Right. So we like to stick with the major metro areas, and we'll go maybe 30, 45 minutes out of those. And we do make exceptions every now and then. You familiar with Lafayette, Georgia?
Yes, of course.
I think that's the way you say it, Lafayette. I'm not sure.
Well, no, if you're from Georgia, you have to say it Lafayette. But if you're from everywhere else, you would call it Lafayette.
All right. So it's maybe 45 minutes or an hour outside of Chattanooga. Yeah. So that was a little bit too far to be considered Metro Chattanooga, right? But we had the borrower put more down. So we gave him like a 60% loan. So he had to have 40% down payment because it was the first time we'd been in Lafayette. And then so on his next one, he'll be able to get normal terms.
Okay.
We never worked with that borrower. We never worked with that city. So that's a great example of how Bay Mountain will work with you to try to make something work. Yeah.
Well, one more question I'm just going to throw at you, and I didn't let you know ahead of time I was going to ask you this, but a couple of weeks ago you were looking for brokers. Why don't you talk about that again?
Always looking for brokers. So what a broker is that's somebody who wants to be in the business of lending money, doesn't have their own money to lend, doesn't want to create the network that you would need to have the money to lend. So you send it off to an existing lender. And so we're one of those lenders who loves to work with brokers. We've got some great brokers here in the Atlanta area, Savannah. Just went to Memphis a couple of weeks ago to meet with a broker there. He's already sent us 5 deals.
Awesome.
And yeah. And so then in Nashville, I met with another one. He hadn't sent us a deal yet, but he will. I know he will.
All right. And so you're kind of leading the charge with the meetup groups in Huntsville and Birmingham. And so if any of you from Huntsville and Birmingham are watching this, if you would like to step up and help Chip start putting together local events, meeting, I'm speaking on your behalf here, Chip, but as we get through the pandemic and finally we get to start meeting in person again, woohoo!
Right.
Then we're going to need somebody to lead those groups. And last I checked, Chip can only be in one place at one time. And so
I haven't learned how to beam me up Scotty yet.
Yeah. So we need you, Isaac, in Nashville, if you're watching. And we need that guy in Memphis, your broker there. We need them to take these local groups and start the in-person meetings. And let's get this thing. I miss hanging out with people in person and just having lunch together.
Yeah, I do too.
Chewing the fat and shooting the breeze and talking real estate.
Yeah.
All right.
They're starting to open back up.
Yeah. Yeah. But I guess the way this whole thing has evolved now, I'm sort of tied into being in here in the studio where we've got, fiber internet access and we're able to bring the content to people. That's okay. I'll sacrifice my time, circulating among the people so all of you can circulate with each other. And don't worry, I'll get lunch later. All right.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks, my man. I appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us today. And thank all of you for joining us here on Flipping America today. We'll be back tomorrow night, and we're going to talk about investing through real estate investment trusts, what it is, how it works, what the returns are, and I hope we see you there. Thanks, Chip.
Thanks, Roger.
We'll see y'all.